Hi, you are watching SightsIn Plus and this is Romesh Bas. Please to subscribe the channel for the HR news, for HR updates and conversation with the top CHROs, thought leaders and business heads. Today we are going to analyze the second quarter result of India's top IT companies. And joining us, Mr. Milind Mutalik is a former Chief People Officer at Accolite Digital. Milind, recently, the companies like TCS, Infosys, Wipro, HCLTech, Tech Mahindra, LTIMindtree, these are the companies have released their second quarter result, a September ending, a month ending result, we can call it. And if you look at the data, so it is interesting, it is a progressive, it is optimistic. If we look at the revenue part, so that is also there is an increase in the revenue. If you look at the headcount part, so there's also increase, there's addition of numbers in headcount. Attrition is also under control. So how do you see overall, what is your first comment on the this second quarter result?
First of all, thanks, Ramesh, for inviting me again for doing this analysis. Absolutely interesting results, as you said. I feel I would rather call it, based on the reading and the reports and other aspects, that this is a revival phase. If you look at 23-24, there was lesser confidence when it comes to the numbers, be it a hiring, be it a commitment for the campus. All that was not really actively being discussed, including one more part, which I'm sure you're going to deliberate in our discussion, is salary increments. So, be it hiring, be it increase in the salary, be it a commitment in terms of revenue growth, all this was little, I would say, conservative or not even being spoken about. But this year, exactly the same is changing in the second quarter, where there is a commitment of, or rather, outlook, projection of 3 to 5% by majority of them. HCL has talked about it, 3 to 4.5 is something which Infosys talked about. Similar numbers, even, some of the other mid-sized organizations are talking about. Okay. And as we progress, let me tell you, I have picked up some of the numbers for these top six companies. And what do I see overall with this 3 or 5% of increase? What would be the other impacts is something which we'll try to deliberate on to. So the first and summarized statement, which I would say, it's a revival phase and it's looking up. I'm sure from here, what we have to do is go ahead and not have that doubtful aspects which are there in the year 23-24, unless there is something drastic happening around in the world. Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's
absolutely.
my
This is a revival stage and gradual recovery. And if you look at the revenue part, so TCS they have announced around 0.9% increase in their revenue. Infosys announced 3.1% increase in their revenue. HCLTech announced 1.6% increase in the revenue. Wipro announced 0.6% increase in the revenue. But if you look at the net profit part for the TCS, so uh, since last three consecutive quarters, if you see, there's a drop in net profit. In the fourth quarter of financial 2024, the net profit was 12,434 crore. And in the first quarter of financial year 2025, it has been 12,105 crore. And the second
okay.
quarter, this which is recently released, this is 11,909 crore. So there's a drop in net profit in last three quarters. If you see, Infosys, yeah, it is a little increase in the net profit as well. There's a 6,506 crore. With the SCL Tech, it is little drop in the net profit. There's a 4,235 crore. And with the Wipro, there's an increase in net profit. There's a 3,209 crore. The Tech Panda, there's a huge increase, you can say more than 50% even increase in the net profit. There's a 1,250 crore, which was earlier in the previous quarter 851 crore. So, dramatic change with this. I think
Yep.
they have got some good projects. With the
Yes.
LTIMindtree, there's also increase in their net profit is 1,251 crore with the LTIMindtree, which was in last quarter 1,135 crore. How do you see this
Absolutely.
revenue and net profit number for the companies?
All right. Now, let me give you based on what my reading or my, some of the analysis which I've done. Especially for TCS, the drop in the margin is, if you look at the other connecting factors or dependent factor, I would say, which regions have grown for them in this quarter. Okay. If you look at India led 95.2% percent-wise growth. And in that itself, if you look at APAC grown by 7.5, okay, India led the maximum growth. Now, when you talk about India, I'm sure the rates which you will get in India probably would not be same as what probably you would get in the other regions like of US. So Americas for them has grown by 6.8%, whereas Middle East has grown by 7.9. See, typically when you have to have the margins, you need to have the billing rates which would be higher. And if you have an India part of the revenue which would be tracking to be higher, you're going to have a lesser profits. Now, in case of, in fact, if you look at TCS, even the communication media business line or vertical has declined by 10.3%. Now, these are some of the aspects which has given a bit of a challenge on the bottom line. Look at the Infosys in the similar way. I have heard Infosys call, investor call, and three times at least the CEO has mentioned that BFSI, he is able to see the discretionary spend going up in terms of capital markets and cards. And again, if you look at though, for them, for Infosys, if the North America region has, kind of gone down a bit by 2%, they have had Europe going up. Okay. However, for the future, they said they are more, cautious on Europe. Okay. So, for Infosys, it was more of a broad-based growth, which has been commented there. And also, the regional balancing, or for that matter, vertical balancing has come up good. Okay. Where they have lost, typically they said this year, this time or this quarter, it was 9.2% drop in retail year-on-year growth. And there was a drop in probably life sciences and other areas like the other services which they do. So I think this is a mixed bag where if you're able to really do well in one of the executions, the new contracts, you are able to make the bottom line better. But if you look at the bottom line also, everybody is in the similar range, okay, of a bottom line. So I'm saying still there is a margin pressure. Is that the margin pressure not there? It is very much there. HCL, as last quarter also we talked about, HCL has some pressure. However, if you look at the outlook, they are talking about 3 to 5 to 5%. Means they know where the problem is and how they are going to get onto it. And they also are committing the EBITDA of 18% to 19%, which is definitely a progressive number, I would say. I'm really wanting to say Wipro seems to be overcautious, or maybe they are going through the transformation and still they are not above the board. The acquisition has really helped them. And that's something which has been mentioned by the CEO during the call also, that Capco, acquisition has helped them to really, focus onto large accounts, work on BFSI, etc. And LTIMindtree also is more focused on the BFSI. So as I made a mention, our dependency, if the BFSI and regions like of America, Latin America does well, then I'm sure the margins will improve. And what is the revenue mix and what is the vertical mix the organizations have, the IT companies have, would give them the kind of margin which they are looking at. That's more of a broad comment from my side.
Right. And if you look at the another number, if you look at the headcounts, so for this second quarter, the TCS has announced the addition of 5,726 employees for this, and total headcount that stood 6,12,724. Announced the addition of 2,446 employees, and the total headcount that is 3,17,778 people. And Wipro that has announced the addition of 978 employees, and the headcount is to 2,32,911. HCLTech, there's a dip of headcount. I think 780 employees. There's a
Nine.
dip of 780 employees in this quarter, and the total headcount is 218,621. With the Tech Mahindra, there's addition and good number of additions. The Tech Mahindra, I would say the highest number of addition with the Tech Mahindra is 6,653 employees they have hired in second quarter, and total number of headcount that is to 1,54,273. And with the LTIMindtree, they have also added 2,504 employees in second quarter with the headcount 84,434. So if you look at these numbers, so almost every company has added except the Wipro, sorry, HCLTech. Every company has added the numbers. So hiring is going on right now. The companies are hiring, and the attrition is also under control. TCS, Infosys, and the HCLTech, the attrition is between 12 to 13%. With the Tech Mahindra, the lowest attrition is there, 10.6%. Highest attrition, that is a 14.50%. With the Wipro and LTIMindtree, which is also not high. That is also 14.5% is a good number for the attrition. Based on this, how do you see the hiring pattern?
I was checking the numbers versus last year. Okay. Versus last year, with all these numbers, the changes. When I say last year, I'm not saying year-on-year comparison of last September versus this September. I was trying to check the growth within 6 months kind. So what is 31st March 24 versus 30th September 24 for all these six companies? And let me tell you, the growth is about 2%. So if it was 16 lakh 70,000 odd, it has become 16 lakh 85,000 on that range, I would say. Okay. However, the reason is very clear. The dip is there in HCL and Wipro of the numbers, but if you pull them around, you will find 3% kind of a increase in the manpower again, and 3% roughly the increase in the revenue to quarter on quarter. Okay. So I think both the things are going together. There's another one more important thing which I would, I have analyzed or tried to put the numbers together. If I look at the revenues of the last year, and let me quickly, say the numbers. Okay, 29 billion TCS, 17.7 billion Infosys, 13.2 billion HCL, Wipro 10.88 billion, Tech Mahindra 6.27 billion, LTIMindtree 4.2 billion. Okay. Now, this is yearly revenue, which is coming to about 81.25 billion. Okay, in these six companies. Now, the manpower, which I said, is about 16 lakh, 10,000 around, here and there, the number could be. And if I see what is their utilization, HCL being probably the lowest at 83% with, or Wipro being lowest at 83, 84%, and 86, 87% like Infi and others. Okay. So point to note here is roughly about, in my calculation, it comes to about 25,000 people are required for a billion kind of addition. Again, estimates, broad estimates. Now, this year, if I look at the revenues, I have not captured LTIMindtree, the current revenue, but it is somewhere in the range of 43 billion in 6 months or 2 quarters. If I just double it, okay, going by the same rate, not considering the, further, I would say, additions, etc., then what you would see is typically is going to 86 from about 81, 82. All right. Now, the minute I say there is an increase of 4 to 5 billion, including this six company, you're actually putting up a number of 25,000 into 5 lakh of people required to you. Okay. What does that means to say is many, kind of predictions which has come in, or that the raise hiring for even the laterals, as I made a mention last time, hiring for freshers has already started. You see the movement happening in the campuses, and the hiring offer letters are also being issued. During the call, Infosys, Wipro both said we are onboarding. Wipro, in fact, said they will clear all the backlog by 30th September. or rather by next quarter, rather, everything will be cleared, whatever is the backlog, right? And it seems earlier there was, kind of projection by majority of the research firms saying that it is 8 to 10%, and now it says 10 to 12%. So increase of anywhere between 3 to 5%, 3 to 4% has been mentioned. Also, there is an increase which has been projected on the jobs like AI/ML. Especially, there's a lot of traction in the cities like of Bangalore, Hyderabad, and other areas. Yeah. So I think this year is going to, as I said, it's a revival. So it's going to, the manpower is going to increase, both lateral as well as, I would say, the campus grads will come in. Now we'll have to see, as I mentioned last time, with campus grad coming in, our dependency on lateral attrition, would it change? And that's the factor which we need to look at, that because we have got the campus added up, will the attrition go up is one of the thing which I am deliberating about or thinking about. Yeah. So in summary, I would say, yes, there's a momentum, I would say, and the 4% increase is something which has been predicted by many of them. And I'm sure that's really a good, I would say, news for all lateral hires. Everyone is gung ho about the campus hiring, and they have been hiring and going ahead with the offers and onboarding of the campus engineers too. So I think good, all over a good news and positive traction, I would say.
Yeah, right. I think you rightly said the companies are very cautious right now. Yeah, though the utilization is all-time high right now, and the attrition is also low. So attrition is low means companies are, can add on more money on the margin part. They can save more money into this. But on the basis of this data, how do you see, now for the financial year 26, how do you see the campus hiring?
I would say bit of a impact of this year hiring. If this year hiring is successful and we are able to deploy the young talent faster, you will find that the momentum will continue. It all depends on how fast the onboarding happens and how fast the utilization happens for them. Because finally, it's a question of revenue. There's always, one of the things which I've seen in Infosys utilization, productivity and utilization thing, that they say 1% difference. They always give utilization ratio with trainees or campus hire and without campus hire. Why this has been distinguished is only to tell that productivity is still to come in of 1%. If these people get converted, 1% is a big deal in case of Infosys or anybody of that size of organization. So I think all depends on how best we are faster we are able to have these people deployed and make them productive to see that they are able to add to the top line. If they are able to do that, okay, 26 is better. If they're not able to do that, you would have an extra stock and you will not then get the new ones. So 26, unless there is real, this 3 to 5% which they are saying becomes 7 to 8%. Okay. Today we are all talking about single digit or even less than 5% and still feeling happy about it because we have seen the bad times in 23, 24. Okay. And that being a reason, I'm saying even traction there of 2 or 3% would again make the whole rush happen, and 26 will be, campus also would have real good traction. Some ifs and buts for the campuses, I would say. Yeah.
Right. And how do you see the salary hikes? Though the companies, most of the companies, they've already announced for this, and that may start rolling out the salaries for the third quarter of this quarter. How do you see the salary hikes with the IT industry and overall the
Okay.
next coming
So,
quarters for the IT
yeah,
industry?
absolutely. So first, deliberation which you've done, you talked about the bottom line margins. Now, when I hear the results, and I've gone into details where TCS or for that matter, Infosys, Wipro, all of them are saying today also when the projects are coming, these projects are on the ground of, cost reduction or efficiency increase. They are not coming into AI or Gen AI at the big level. The projects are smaller comparatively. Okay. GCC traction is happening currently, but it's more of little slow game as compared to what is expected to be earlier. Because GCC is your own, they are able to drive a lot of things. Now, why I'm trying to bring this point up is there is going to be a pressure on the margin. And all the organizations, as I made a mention, IT services organizations, major cost is employee cost. So the minute the 45% of cost increases by 10%, it becomes 2.5% of hit on the bottom line. And I'm sure, this year also, as I made a mention, conservative, I don't expect more than 5 to 8% of average hike which would come through. So it would be best, best performer could get 12%, 18% kind of a range. The lower performers will not get that kind of margins. And everybody waited for, and look at the cautious approach to it, because everybody says quarter 3 we will declare the increments. So I feel with freshers coming in, there's going to be a cost pressure with contracts not really on a, as I made a mention again earlier, that if you have a long-term contracts, 5 years, 7 years contract, then the pressure on the margin is very high because the discounts asked to you are much higher. Okay, and today big deals are generally multi-year deals, and that being the reason the margins are not really great as you could have. So every year increasing the salary by 10 or 12% are the days gone. And that being the reason, this combination of freshers coming in will give some leverage on the cost. If they become productive, then the increases next year will be better. But this year, I do not see more than 5 to 8% average increase for all the organization. I was having some past data in 2024. Typically Infosys did about 8 to 9% hike. HCL didn't do the hike. Wipro did 9.55% to 9.4% average hike. Tech Mahindra did 5 to 6% hike, and TCS did 7 to 9%. So even 23, 24, both the years were lean years when it comes to a hike, and we are just reviving. So it's not the time where we have already done and been there. It is still a time where we need to really have the good margins and consistent margin to go ahead. One important point which has been noted by everyone, in fact, in Wipro call, it was clearly stated that we are going to have minimum or lesser number of days for billing with furloughs and year end. That's going to be the next quarter and quarter next to that. Okay. Another important aspect, which is, so I have all these aspects from a margin pressure point of view. Another aspect is elections at US. So will the deals be postponed till the time, or it will be rescheduled till the time the results come in and the whole of aspects well known. Okay, so that's these are some of the points which are creating bit of uncertainty to give the commitment on the increment numbers, because that's a fixed cost. You can't roll it back anyways. So I feel again bad but conservative. 5 to 8% would be my thought process says.
No, absolutely. So if we take the, if we try to takeaways, what are the takeaways of these results? So basically, if you look at the hiring part, so industry is on hiring mode right now. The industries are hiring, but the industry is cautious because there's a gradual revival. There's a revival stage, so industries are cautious. The companies are hiring, but on cautious with a cautious optimism, you can say. And another important thing is because the IT economy is on revival, so salary expectation, much salary expectation, I don't think so. There would be, as you already given the figure 5 to 8%, that may be the average salary hike for the IT professionals. So maybe this moderate increase, that is the possibility. Thank you so much, Mr. Milind, for joining the conversation and
Thank you,
sharing
Milind.
your wonderful thoughts. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.